to my movie library. Welcome to Color Cinema. We are talking tonight. It's going to be a shorter Color Cinema tonight because basically, hey there, Dave. I have some stuff that I have to do. I have some cleaning. We have like the cable guy coming tomorrow, and that should be interesting. I always clean for the cable guy. You got to do that, right? So tonight we are talking Criterion and Arrow, and I almost called this video, what do you do about a problem called Criterion? So this should be, hey Danuch, welcome man. Hey me, this should be interesting. So as you guys all know, I'm sure you know that Criterion made their announcements for December today. You watched my interview twice? Thank you. That's a long interview, so that is super, super thank you for that. Daisuke is an incredible interviewer. Uh, for those who are curious, I'm actually going to be back on Cinema Dave's channel, coming in the near future, and after that, I will be looking to be back on Daisuke's channel again for a follow-up conversation with him, probably in November, actually. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and I'll let you guys know when when all that drops. And there's a Just to This podcast episode that I did with Brian Sauer. Which you guys should listen to Just This and Pure Cinema. And by the way, Brian Sauer now has a Just This YouTube channel, which is awesome. We talk about it a lot, actually. Hey there, Lisa. Glad to see you here. When am I going to be on Just This again? Well, I taped one at him a while back. So that'll be, there you go. I'll be on there in the very near future. And hopefully me and Brian will collaborate pretty soon and talk about some stuff again. We wanted to do maybe if he gets the chance to do a horror one. So we'll see how that all goes. So apparently I gotta delete some stuff here so that I can show you guys what I want to show you guys. Because this iPad now is being used mostly for my my studying and stuff. So let me open up the comments here for a bit. Hey Dennis, welcome. By the way, guys, welcome Dennis to the Call to Cinema. What I do here, so show you guys know, is I do keep it kind of free flow. Tonight's a little bit more structured because basically I have a topic. Oh, I hate hearing myself. Taking the Friday 13th set. I'll actually talk to him about that. I think we both have some pretty passionate thoughts on Friday 13th, and I love the Dice Case so into the Friday 13th series as well, so that's also something we can chat about. All right, so first off, we'll start with the Criterion announcements that came out today. There were four. One in particular. Oh, I hope you like that, Kubrick. Oh, is it hard to hear my voice? Yes, I can gladly hear it. Move the mic closer. So, guys, if there's any time that you can't hear me, okay, hey Ryan, welcome. Just let me know because I'm still getting used to having the snowball mic. I'm trying not to lean in too much because I don't need you to see my face that closely, but I do want to for you guys to hear me okay. So if you guys are having any issues hearing me, please let me know. Can everybody hear me okay before I go any further? I'm gonna wait to see because now I'm getting nervous that you can't hear me because nobody said anything. Okay, perfect. All right, so there's a reason we're talking about this tonight, and basically it's all right. There's some great announcements from Criterion, and there's one that's kind of it brings us back. Let's just say it comes cyclical. So we have, and I'm gonna butcher the names on some of these films, just so you know. Even though I've seen some of these films, I will still butcher the names. Amores Perros is being released on December 15th. Hey there, Andrew. I think you're going to like this one. We're actually talking Criterion and stuff tonight. And Cronenberg, if you like Cronenberg. Uh, Symbols Psychotaxoplasm, two takes by William Greaves, is going to be released on December the 8th. Machete, which is a Robert Bresson film, is going to be released on December the 8th. And on December the 1st, Criterion is releasing Crash, David Cronenberg's Crash, and they have quite the interesting cover for Crash, and I will actually show you that right now. Oh, Razor, welcome, man. I like your channel, by the way. Like, I've been there since the beginning. You may not know that, but I'm watching since the beginning. So this is the artwork for. Okay, I guess I can show this to you. Uh, since for David Cronenberg Crash, it's kind of messed up, but this is Crash, done by Criterion. And there's a reason that I'm talking about these four in particular. One, I like Criterion. I think they do some amazing releases. And that is probably, this may be some of my favorite Criterion artwork, just to let you know. Now, also, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of this film. German release has the best cover. I haven't seen that cover. I'll check it out. But also, it's being released by Arrow Video, and it is being released in 4K, which leads the question to which one to get, why didn't Criterion bring this 4K? Yeah, I did actually. I commented on back when I still had the time to make comments on videos. Now I just usually hit the thumbs up button when I can. A lot of times I'm watching on my phone, and my phone is the only place where I'm not like signed in. So I usually try to remember to go back afterwards and like just rewatch at least part of the videos and hit the thumbs up button. So hit the thumbs up button, guys. So basically, we get a new 4K digital restoration from here. I definitely still want to do a video. I guess we're gonna have to go through through StreamYard. I'm so sorry. Like, email me because I don't know if I can find emails right now, and I have a new email too, but email me on the one that you got, and and we'll go from there, and we'll get something done. I promise. We'll do it on your channel because that way we know you can be all set up. Why didn't they go 4K? So we got a 4K restoration. It's the same restoration that Arrow has, except that because when you do a 4K restoration of a film, yeah, it seems like they are still by the 4K, unfortunately. And then you do have, and then you got to put that film on a 1080p Blu-ray. Then what you are initially doing is you're putting it up to the quality, the best quality that it can get, and then you're taking that best quality picture and sound, and you're downgrading it so that you can put it on a 1080p disc, because obviously you can't get the same sound and picture quality as you can on a 4K release. Now, this isn't new to Criterion. Criterion came a little bit kicking and screaming kind of later into the Blu-ray game, as opposed to some other companies. And it seems like they're a little bit coming and kicking and screaming into the 4K realm. And as you've seen, like recently, well, Arrow has been putting out like a significant amount of 4Ks. It's been Vinegar Syndrome has put out 4K. Kino Lorber is going into 4K. And if you listen to my interview that I did with Daisuke, our conversation that we had, we actually talked about the fact that Criterion has kind of they've been doing okay, but it seems like they're not stepping up their game. Well, all the companies around them are stepping up their game, and it's a shame because Criterion are still putting out some of the great releases. Hey there, Dungeon. And I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going for the. I like Crash, but I don't like it enough that I'm going to have to buy it twice. Congratulations on going region free, Alan. Um, See, this happened before, and I'll show you, which I'm sure all you guys are familiar with. I'm a big fan of Videodrome, so for that one, that was a double dip for me. That's when you see why, especially. So this was the original Videodrome release. Hey there, Dustin. Welcome. Also, yes, thank you so much. By the way, you remember the Crimson Cult, by the way, which is what we call our Patreon supporters on here. So you're going to see some stuff on here. I'll be doing another video with my wife called I Made My Wife Watch, which is where we do some cheesy movies. And we'll also be talking about, since she is from Morocco originally, we'll be talking about the movie Trances, which was a part of the Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project. And that is going to be like a more serious one that I'm actually very excited to talk about. Hey there, George. We're just kind of, I was just reading your message just before I came on here. Hey there, Jason. Mary, welcome. So this happened before. So we got the Criterion edition of Videodrome right here, and this is the Arrow edition of Videodrome. Heather Deck. Hope I get that right. So this is nice. This is cool. This is brilliant. But at that time, they were working with the same formats. Thank you, Ryan. Actually, I really enjoyed like the doing that with my better half. Gee, let's have some great stories from Morocco on there. I am trying to read it. If I don't do this, by the way, yeah, you can call me on it, and I do appreciate it. Uh, I have some viewers that are hard of that have sight issues, so I'm trying to read out the comments more as I respond to them, so that it doesn't make them more confusing for people that are just listening to this as a podcast, for instance, to understand what's going on. Got to see the Scream Factory release of the 4K one. Oh yeah. See, Scream Factory is doing 4K as well. Now, I wanted to dive into like the features uh, for both of the releases, both of the releases of Crash. I wanted to get your guys' opinions on what you're going to get. I think I know what Kubrick's going to get. Maybe I don't though, because I'm not sure. No, Kubrick, you're not 4K yet, are you? If you were 4K, I think I know what you'd go for. Like I'm pretty sure. Hey there, Cinematic. You picked up Shivers from Vestron today. Shivers is one of my all-time favorite Cronenberg films. So definitely let me know what you think of it, Adam, because that is one that I utterly love. I love Shivers. I love Rabbit. I think the two go really well together. If you can get your hands on Rabbit, the original release, then the original film. I haven't seen the remake yet, but I suggest checking that out. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to go into the the features here. Crash is really good, actually. I really like Crash. Now, that being said, you gotta go, you gotta like Cronenberg, and you kind of have to like you gotta like his stuff. It's different. So we're going to the features, and we'll kind of touch on like Crash definitely is a good film, but it's not for everyone. My better half, for instance, Crash is not her style of Cronenberg film. She's not big on body horror, but she's watched a few. She liked Videodrome, even though she's not big on that. And of course, she saw Brian Yuzna Society, which is another kind of different director, but body horror as well. I am going with Arrow as well because I want to support more 4K releases. Whereas you've only dipped your toes into 4K so far. It is. It actually is. Like like Razor Wire just mentioned that 4K releases usually it's the older films that benefit the most, and there's a reason for that. So basically, when it comes to 4K releases, for those like that haven't got into them yet, and you're wondering, well, will an older film benefit for 4K? Yes, because with a newer film, a lot of films already shoot digitally, right? So a lot of films you're seeing are already being shot in a digital format and using you know the digital sound. When it comes to an older film, we're working with original camera elements for that film. So there's a lot that can be done to. And people think, well, is it going to look too shiny? Is it going to DNR it? Now, like the idea with 4K is not to make a film look shiny or bright or waxy. The idea with 4K is to make it look as close to the way it would be in the theater as possible, and not just look but sound, and that can be the OCN, yeah, the elements. So basically, some people say, well, hey there, Chris. Some people say they ask like they'll say like, I got like a 45-inch screen. I got a 50-inch screen. Is my will I benefit from having a 4K release, a 4K like television set, or a 4K like UHD player, or now with the Sony PS5 or the Xbox Series X coming out, and with the prices being announced actually. Then we'll talk about that tomorrow more though. Um, exactly, more resolution, more grain, more detail. So even if you got like a smaller screen, it's all really depends on like when we sit from the screen. But also a key component of this is you're going to get a wider color gamut, and you're going to get colors that you can't get on a regular 1080p, and you're going to get uh, a better sound too. People underestimate the sound on 4K, but sound is imperative when it comes to a film. Just to try watching Halloween with the soundtrack gone, or if you want to have a laugh, go go watch the not right now, but later on, go watch Dancing in the Streets, the video done with all the music taken out. It's definitely hilarious. But it's something that you can't underestimate. So even with like a 40-inch TV or even a 50-inch TV, I presently got a 55. I'm going to be going like a bit larger. I want to go hopefully Morocco. Like we're looking at either a 75 or an 80, somewhere around there. But hey there, Kay. But you don't need a huge movie screen. Like it's fantastic if you got it, great, wonderful, but it's not a necessity. Uh, yeah, the Mick Jagger, David Bowie one. Yeah, it's hilarious, by the way. So here we go. I did say I was going to do this. So basically, there's special features that are on both of these. Let's compare and contrast these special features, and then we'll talk a bit more about the 4K release. But I'll mention I'll look at a couple of comments here. Just reviewed your 4K Blu-ray of The Goonies. You can see why some of these movies remade, especially to 4K. I haven't seen the Goonies 4K yet. Goonies Blu-ray copy, it was watched out, the original one. If Netflix films are getting Criterion treatment, why is it that no HBO films get Criterion treatment? Like Bad Education, You Don't Know Jack. There's a lot of movies that deserve it that haven't got it yet. Blue Underground has gone amazingly into 4K. You're right there, Jason. Hey there, Evan. Welcome. I'm glad you liked the video with Daisuke. I would like to see. I think that Severin will be the next company to jump into the 4K format. I would love to see 88 Films do something with that as well. And there's a Blu-ray underground sale going out. Blue underground sale going out. I think on Balik. Heather Penga. So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to read the features out for the Criterion edition of Crash, and then we're going to look at the features of the Arrow edition of Crash, and I want to know what your thoughts on those are. So we're getting the audio commentary from 1997 from Cronenberg on the Criterion edition. That's from the Laserdisc, if I remember correctly. If Daisuke was here, we'd know for sure because I think he has the Laserdisc. Daisuke has a lot of like Criterion Laserdiscs. There's a press conference from the 1996 Cannes Film Festival featuring Cronenberg, Shizetsky, Arthur J.G. Ballard, who of course wrote the film, producers Robert Lantos, Jeremy Thomas, and actors Rosanna Arquette, Holly Hunter, Eliza Cotes, who's a favorite actor of mine, by the way. I just started streaming. I'm not gonna. It's a shorter one tonight. James Spader and Deborah Kara Unger. There's a Q&A from 1996 with Cronenberg at the Ballard National Film Theater. Behind-the-scenes footage and press interviews from 96, trailers, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. I actually really do appreciate that. And an essay by film critic Jessica Kyang, and that should be interesting as well. I think Criterion is just going to cautiously Criterion can be a little bit too cautious, and I don't think it's like as a rush job type thing. I think that's kind of Yeah, I think they're very. They'll get there. Hey there, Wolf. Now we're going to contrast it with the Arrow uh, features on here. So on the Arrow one, you get a brand new 4K restoration of the uncut NC-17 version from the original 35 millimeter um, camera negative, supervised by writer-director David Cronenberg and director of photography Peter Szezecki. Now on both of these, like they're both director approved. It's just this will be the actual 4K director approved, so it's the actual negative one. Uh, we get it presented in with HDR, with 5.1 and 2.0 stereo DTS HD master audio. I would have liked to have had an Dolby Atmos track as well, but you know, 5.1 and 2.0 is actually not too bad. Uh, Optional English subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing, so that's always good to hear. Brand new audio commentary with film scholar Adrian Martin. That should be really good, actually. Cronenberg Challenge, new interview with director of photography Peter Szezecki. Mechanical Animals, new interview with executive producer Jeremy Thomas. The Shore Thing, new interview with composer Howard Shore. License to Drive, new interview with casting director Deirdre Bowen. Archival behind the scenes featurette. Archival interviews with David Cronenberg, J.G. Ballard, actors James Spader, Holly Hunter, Deborah Kara Unger, and Elias Cotes. Cronenberg Concrete Cowboy, a brand new video essay by Callum Vetzano. I'm probably butchering that name. On Cronenberg's use of Toronto as a filming location. That I'm extremely interested in. You guys know I'm Canadian. Original trailers, fully illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writings by Vanessa Morgan, Arceli Molina, alongside a reprinted excerpt from Cronenberg on Cronenberg, a photo double-sided poster featuring original artwork, newly commissioned artwork, limited edition packaging with reversible sleeve, featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Jules, and they do a lot from him. So there we go. So what do you guys think of the features? What do you think is the one is kind of like the standout when it comes to there? Is there one that stands out to you when it comes to like a feature that you kind of need to have that you really want? One thing that I'm noticing is that the there are brand new produced features on Arrow's edition of Crash, and pretty much everything on the Criterion release is just like something that they probably had before, or it's archival, kind of carried over. There's no actual new features done for Crash for the Criterion release. The best part of the Criterion release, the most tempting thing for a David Cronenberg fan, is probably that 1997 audio commentary by Cronenberg. And I'm guessing that Arrow kind of like, sorry, that Criterion kind of like locked in the rights to that back from their days on Laserdisc. But I like the fact that with Arrow, in my opinion, um, it sounds like your DVD that you currently have, that Arrow has a nice combination, aside from the 4K, there's a nice combination of both older and newer, um, so you can get like different perspectives on the film as it was when it was being shot, and when they're doing kind of like they're doing the rounds, the press rounds, and you get like the newer stuff on how people looking back on it years later, and I think that's invaluable when you're looking at a film. You can't just look at what was being done at that period and that time. It's really important to see and to is there, well, the thing with 4K is that the 4K disc itself will be region free, like just so you know. Now, as for the Blu-ray disc of it, I would say that since Criterion is putting it a Blu-ray in here in North America, that the Blu-ray disc will be region locked. But as long as you got a 4K player, you'll be able to watch it with 4K. And if they're going to go by the way they went with like movies like Pitch Black, that that the four and I'm pretty sure from everything they're saying here that the Ultra HD 4K features, unlike on a lot of 4K discs when you'll get like a 4K disc and then the features will be on the Blu-ray. From what I can see right here, it looks like all the features that are read out from the from Arrow are actually going to be on that 4K disc. So you don't have to worry about getting the disc and then like not being able to watch the features because maybe you're not region free, but you've got a 4K player, because all the features should be on the 4K disc. I'm personally going to go Penga with the Arrow edition of Crash. I loved what they did with Flash Gordon. I definitely want to pick up King of New York as well. Arrow's putting that out. I'm a big Abba Ferrara fan. Uh, I like the balance here, and like Warlock just mentioned, and that the Toronto filming location, Cronenberg Concrete Cowboy video essay is something that is extremely interesting to me. It adds like another level and another aspect of depth to this, because Cronenberg is of course his Canadian director, and he shoots a lot of these films in and around Toronto. Uh, So you're gonna see like that. And I get that some people like want to hear the Cronenberg commentary, but in all honesty, you could probably go out and get the DVD if you can find it, and get the commentary and whatever features are on there. The Q&A, I'm not sure if the Q&A is going to be on there. Maybe when they say archival interviews, that might actually be from the Q&A. That could be how they're going with that. But there's too many new features, and there's too much variety. Then to not go for like to not get the disc. So I'll just open up your comments here now so I can see them bigger. Criterion is plenty of movies where they have people looking back on the history of the movie you watch. Well, they do, but yeah, but not on this one. That's the thing. It's fantastic that they do have people looking back on the films that you watch, and it's great that they did that. But in the case of Crash, that's not it. It's I'll put it out there. Uh, yeah, yeah, with 4K, Adam, it's just you go region free because all of them are region free, so that's awesome. Um, is that, and I'm gonna say this, and I love Criterion, and it's gonna sound like a knock against Criterion, but it's not really a knock. This is a bit lazy. Um, they're using a 4K scan that's already available. Um, that we know is coming out from Arrow. It's probably maybe it was a Studio Canal scan. I'm not quite sure. Um, they're porting over all their older features. We're not getting anything new, so there's nothing new coming to the plate with this release. And sadly, a lot of their releases like recently have not had like the quality of the booklet that you normally see with 4K. Are you going to get the PlayStation 5 or are you going to get the Xbox? You're going to go PlayStation 5? It depends on the price, Warlock, for me, with which one I go with. I'm actually waiting for the PlayStation announcement tomorrow before I make my final decision. I love both. You picked the one which has a cooler cover. Sometimes I actually do that. So that's actually true for me. Uh, yeah, that's it. Like standard, like Dungeon Studio. So like yes, sir. So standard like 4K Blu-ray players will be able to play the 4K disc, but if the Blu-ray disc is region locked, they won't be able to play that. So that's always something that has to be looked into when it comes to this here. You're a Sony guy, Warlock. Well, you're gonna like. Let's be honest, Kubrick. You're kind of a Criterion guy. Uh, that's kind of your label. So I understand, but I'll be I'll be blunt in the fact that Arrow is putting in a better product. I think Criterion moves are more affordable and more accessible. I don't know about that, because if I'm sure, let's look at see the price of like Crash. Uh, on Arrow Films. It's for 4K. I understand it's going to be for 4K. So that's going to be like important to know. And like as we know, like these things lower in prices before as you go down. So the limited edition of Crash is around £30. So that's going to come out to. I'm in Canada, so I'll let you know what's going to come out to the US as well. So that's going to be about $30 in the US and around 50 here in Canada, for instance. The Criterion edition of. Let's go to Criterion of Crash, which is Blu-ray and not 4K, with no new features. And that you can't like underestimate the like that when it comes to this like feature wise. When it comes out, is initially going to run you $31 American for one disc, which is pretty much. Let's go here again. Not a lot of difference in the price. So that's so Criterion is normally steep though. Criterion is not a company that's normally inexpensive. There's a reason we go for the Criterion sale. They're kind of like the boutique diamond company when it comes to a lot of like the more serious, some of the more what we call quote unquote serious releases. So they trade in a bit on their name, and they tend to have more expensive things. Now that being said, they put out things like the Agnes Varda set, the Ingmar Bergman set, which are two like fantastic releases. I don't have the Varda set yet myself, but I'll probably be picking up that up early next year. Um, I had planned to get it this year, but I'm probably going to get a new system, so that's going to take up all my money for Christmas. That'll be my only Christmas gift because I got to shove a game again. And Bruce Lee said it's amazing that Criterion did. You rejected your money and returned your. How come? Because do you want to send anything to Canada Warlock? I guess for unobstructed view is the best way to go for that. Now that being said, some Criterion releases apparently, from what I heard, are not going to be here in Canada. There's one actually, most underrated Cronenberg and Butterfly, great film by the way. Um, Gamera's all Gamera, yeah. You never thought like Gamera would go up against Godzilla and Gamera would win, but Gamera did. Yeah, Arrow does like Kubrick is completely right. Arrow does usually have a sale in November around that time as well, and they have some really good 50% off sales. There's a lot of Arrow stuff that actually is region free as well. It was revealed for purchase in Canada. Did you? That's setting a bad precedent um, for anybody that lives that lives in North America or maybe even farther. Yeah, Cronenberg did a lot of really good films that people actually tend to forget about because there's a C in the top corner. Some people are just gonna have to buy the inferior version. I gotta agree with that. In this case, for this release, uh, aside from like if you don't have a 4K, like I understand that, and you're not region free, or even if you're region free, what you're getting like it's not going to be like a huge upgrade for the like you're going to have a better picture and hopefully it's like better sound quality. So it'll be director approved, but it'll be director approved on something was originally director approved on 4K, and that has been transferred down. And I'm the last person to get snobby about pictures and stuff like that. You guys know that. I collect DVDs. I collect VHS. I would love to have CEDs in my collection. History of Violence, by the way, the ones you mentioned, is a fantastic film. Unobstructed View sale coming up. Interesting to know. Criterion's your favorite label, Chris? Arrow's right behind them. So what are you going to go with? So with Criterion being your favorite label, I'm not quite sure, Chris, if you're like if you're 4K or not. But if you are you going to be going with the 4K release of uh, of Crash, if Crash is even a movie that you're interested in, or are you going to go with the Blu-ray release? I can get a bit. I'm the least snobby person when it comes to sound and picture quality. Do you look around me and not see so many DVDs and stuff that I have? Like to see a good Blu-ray release of Creeping Flesh. I would love to see a good Blu-ray release of Creeping Flesh. I love that film. Like Arrow, in this case, I have to say I love. And now, do have to give credit for a Criterion on the artwork for Crash. It's definitely, it's exactly what you want to see for a movie like Crash. It is provocative, and it is edgy, and it is forward thinking, and it does definitely encapsulate the spirit of the film. So this is not a going to be a Criterion hate fest by me, just so you know that. Um, their artwork for Crash is incredible. I'm extremely impressed because I have on here before mentioned times that I was really not thought that uh, Criterion kind of like maybe dropped the ball a little bit when it came to the artwork. But with this one here, I have to say the artwork on Crash is phenomenal. If I had the money, I would grab both releases, and only because I really would like to have the commentary. The commentary is the big killer part. You think the big release for December is Morris Peros? That definitely. I mean, like it'll be a bit divisive. I'm not sure if it's going to be a film for everybody, but I'm glad to see like one. I'm glad to see more representation. Um, we're going to see a lot more of that. Obviously, we've seen like that coming up with for Criterion. Um, Happy 55th anniversary to Lost in Space. Well, I did not know, but thank you, Jordan, because I have the Lost in Space Blu-ray set and I love it. Thank you, Wolf. I'm not sure if I'm a beautiful human being, but thank you for that. Cronenberg definitely deserves a box set, but the killer part about doing a Cronenberg box set right now is there's been so many great and monumental releases that have been come out from Cronenberg that it's one of those where you got to think before you go. Um, I can see Criterion doing one in the future. I'm hoping that in 2021, one, I hope the year will be better, uh, but I'm hoping that in 2021 that Criterion is finally going to make the dive into 4K releases. Some people have thought, he said, well, if you do 4K, Criterion's really expensive already. What about 4K? I think they'll adjust. I think part of it is like Criterion tried to be forward thinking when it came to the Blu-ray DVD combo packs, which for me was one of the better things that I saw Criterion, as in like when they upgraded the formats to do, and they got a lot of kind of pushback on those combo packs, and they had to stop doing it. And so they started putting out Blu-rays and DVDs, which is a shame, because at this point, the Blu-ray DVD combo pack that Criterion was doing, that should have been their standard. That should have been the norm. But there was too many people that were that had pushed back at the time that they should not have listened to. I am pretty sure, Kubrick, that a Criterion will be going 4K in the future. It's just that this would have been an amazing place to start. The 4K, it was already there. Like the 4K was literally already there, and so they wouldn't have had to do like a lot with that. Jay says, I know, it's 50-50 for Criterion on 4K. I think the market is DVDs and Blu-rays majority. Well, DVD still is the highest selling thing, but I'm starting to see as we're leaning more towards like, well, leaning more towards the collector's market right now. Right now, like there's still people buying DVDs, of course, a lot of DVDs. There's people that are buying Blu-rays, like, um, but as we're starting to go more towards a collector, a cinemaphile type of market, then you're gonna see more and more like boutique companies like Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, and eventually Criterion going towards 4K releases. I can see that like Indicator's still a smaller company at this point. I would like to see like something from them in 4K in the future, but I don't see them going anywhere like too quickly. One Films again is another smaller company, uh, as a shameless, so it's understandable for them. I do think that we will get 88 films. I do think 88 films of all of them will go 4K. Would people be upset with Criterion only releasing 4Ks in limited quantities? Well, the things everything's a limited quantity. Um, hey, Daisuke, welcome, man. What do you think? I'm glad you came in because I was actually thinking, what did you think of the announcement? Because for me, Daisuke, I still got to go with the Arrow edition. Yeah, I hope to see them go. I hope to see Criterion go 4K in the future. I know you said that you may be doing a video on like what you think some of the kind of the pluses and minuses that Criterion. I don't want to give away too much, maybe, and I would love to see that video by the way, because if anybody can talk in depth on Criterion and the good and bad, it's you, my friend. That's for sure. You don't think many people, actually, a lot of people nowadays have 4K, and the reason is because 4K used to be super expensive. 4K was but now you go to like your local Walmart, you go to your local like Target, your Best Buy. 4K is pretty much it's become the norm. It's become like pretty inexpensive. It's not expensive to buy a 4K really TV anymore. It's the same like it's the same transfer, Daisuke. It's just that it'll be downgraded for the Criterion edition. Yeah, that's the thing. You automatically are gonna automatically start like comparing them, and it's not the first time. Uh, like I mentioned on here before, and I'm sure you've talked about this. There we go. There's the two releases for a Videodrome. One that was put out earlier by Criterion, and the newer release that came out from Arrow Video. Um, this is an extremely well done release. Decalogue 2. The Decalogue is one where I think it is like it's a definitive. Like the work that was put into the Decalogue from Arrow, it just surpasses it so much that is almost like a non-entity, like a non. Like people say, like later on, like so like the early films and stuff like that by Cronenberg were put out by Criterion on other releases, and that's true. But you did need other releases to get the early works of Cronenberg initially with the limited edition version of Videodrome. You just need the Arrow edition, and it came with like a really good book as well. I am like a little saddened that the commentary from 1997 isn't being carried over. That's my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing there. Well, it's gonna look good. It's gonna look good either way. Like I'm not like yeah, it is from the Criterion. Do you have the Crash release, the Laserdisc release? As you know, I don't have very many laserdiscs, so I don't have any Criterion laserdiscs like you do. So I'm behind on that. So how is the commentary? Like, have you listened to the commentary on Crash? Because I'm curious. Like, there's a brand new commentary by a film historian on here on the Arrow release. I'm very excited about that. I don't think I can like justify double dipping Crash just for a commentary. And the commentary is available online. My basement's lagging the stream. Is It doesn't seem to be like on my side. If you guys, if this seems to be lagging, no, just let me know. But this is the area where I normally film my videos, and I upgraded both my internet and my iPad to actually film. So hopefully it's going okay. I think you're right. Like that's definitely what I'm going to be doing. The Arrow release, I'm, as you know, I went 4K about 2 years ago. I never regretted it. There's some releases that are better than others. Obviously, there's the Terminator 2 release, which I'm not super stoked on. And there's like great releases, of course, like 2001 from Stanley Kubrick, which is utterly gorgeous. And the thing is, if you got the Criterion channel, for instance, and it shows up in the Criterion collection, because for those that don't have the Criterion channel, there's a portion of the Criterion channel called the Criterion collection, and what they do with that is like they'll have the Criterion movie on there and all of the extras, commentaries, featurettes, that type of thing. Um, so with that, like I would definitely 100%. And I never even that's something that I never even thought about. I'd go with the Arrow edition because I can listen to the commentary on the Criterion channel. So I'm still supporting Criterion through through their streaming service, and I definitely will be buying a lot of Criterion, especially their bigger box set editions, which I do buy, and I do love the stuff that they put out. And they announced like three other films and some very great films on for their upcoming December slate. Somebody said that Amoros Perros looks to be the big film. We watched Blood and Satan's Claw. I love Blood and Satan's Claw. Oh, I have not seen the video yet. It made a video on Criterion announcement, and it mentions how it's possible that Arrow's release will be deemed to be superior. Have a great night there, Kay. I gotta watch that afterwards. Amaros Paris is a big deal. Or it is a big deal. That's the centerpiece. But because of the fact that they're going up against each other, that unfortunately, hey there, Brian, it's getting lost a bit in like these. Normally, this would be a pretty like heralded time for Criterion because it is a solid December release announcements. You know, there are four like fantastic like release in my opinion anyway. I'm a big Robert Bresson fan, so there are four fantastic releases. Um, but because they chose to release Crash in the way that they released it, um, that this topic here is becoming like it's become the focal point. And you know at another time when a movie like Paros is being put out would be like a huge deal, it's getting overshadowed by people that are going into specific camps. And like I'm definitely kind of guilty of that as well because I'm talking to you guys here about the Arrow versus Criterion Crash release. But I thought it was like a really good way, not just to talk about the fact that there's these two releases that are coming out, like kind of like that are I wouldn't say competing because they're in different areas, um, but because they have like they're doing different. I think one is like visually superior to others. Now that doesn't take anything away from what Criterion does, and like Kubrick just mentioned there like one of release that I'm very excited about, and that's the Martin Scorsese like World Cinema Volume 3. I love the World Cinema. I don't have enough of the World Cinema stuff. I do love the World Cinema releases that they're putting out. Martin Scorsese is a huge cinephile, and he doesn't get enough credit for the fact that he is very paramount and somebody that is saving and preserving films from across the world. Um, where where my better half lives, there is a film festival there. There's a Marrakesh Film Festival, and one of the heads of the film festival, by the way, is Scorsese. So he's there every year. There's usually him. Like Scorsese will be there, and yeah, wherever all those guys that with Scorsese goes, he is normally there. The World Cinema Projects are definitely very among the best sets out there that have been released. One thing that I'm going to be doing for, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the video for people that weren't here, then is I will be talking trances on my Patreon channel with my better half because she is Moroccan and she is very familiar, and that film does mean a lot to her. And I was able to, and I found out about that film long before the World Cinema Project because of her, and because her sister actually has worked at the film festival, and she's met people like Scorsese, and she's spoke with him. We're able to say like he's a really big fan of like of the not just of that film, but he's a fan of that type of like a fusion style of music that is highlighted in the excellent film Trances. So it was in the first World Cinema Project. If you haven't picked it up yet. Looking at the two Doctor Who movies, they're fun. I mean, like if you like, they're Amicus releases actually, Dave, for those two Doctor Who ones. Let's see Criterion release David Cronenberg's Fly. I think Warlock's right with Scream Factory having just released it. I don't think we're going to get a new release of the Fly anytime in the near future. Cronenberg and Criterion have worked together a lot. Like it's a given that that they kind of go hand in hand. But Arrow has stepped up their game significantly. Uh, and people, when they talk about this too, people forget also that King New York is coming out on 4K. And for those that haven't seen it, New York is an extremely underrated film that a lot of people, unfortunately, have not seen. And it is a film that I do recommend that you check out. I don't have time to talk too much about it. Your dad like King of New York? Well, I'm. Your dad's cool, Amy, because we'll be looking at that as well. Oh, Burst City, I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a few that are releasing. Um, yeah, Scream Factory are releasing a They Live 4K set as well, so that's going to be anything with Steve Buscemi is good. Steve Buscemi is just so good. Uh, he's I talked about this on Dutch K's interview conversation. I like conversation better than interview, don't you guys? Um, and basically, because it seems more informal. That's what we did. Uh, is that basically when it comes to like a lot of this stuff, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. I did 110%. Oh my god, that's it. I'm getting old, guys. I'm getting super old. But oh yeah, so what? Steve Buscemi. Now I remember that theater acting is the hardest acting you can do, and like when you see actors that go into cinema that came from the world theater, they stand out. And Steve Buscemi is one of those guys who was pretty much like an indie film like theater legend when he started. Actually, Warlock Peter Cushing now would be considered part of continuity. Did you see the last episode of Doctor Who this season? Oh yeah, for me that the editing part of it when it comes to a live video is obviously not something that that I can do. Blue Underground needs to do Inferno on 4K. I would love to see Inferno on 4K. That would be an amazing release. I love the movie Inferno. It's not one of the higher rated like Argento films, unfortunately, but it's one where he worked so well with with Bava, and so we get to see some work with between Argento and Bava, which is amazing to see. And there are some great set pieces in Inferno, including a beautiful opening, which that sequence where she kind of goes into the water, and it just looks like a little, and she goes deep down. I cannot just I cannot just imagine like how beautiful that would look on 4K. Hey Ken, do I think that Vinegar Cinema would be putting a killer party? If they can get the rights to it, I would like to see it. I mean, like, didn't that initially come out through? Was it Warner Archives that initially put out Killer Party? So it's all going to depend on the rights of it. A Dracula 3D 4K release. Actually, I was talking to Daisuke. We were talking about like Dracula 3D, um, and Daisuke made some good points that I'm not sure if I'll talk about them now, but or we'll wait till we do our next conversation. Uh, they got the rights from Warner, then hell yeah. Um, but there's some interesting like things that he brought up about Dracula 3D that I think deserves more attention and more talking about. With that being said, guys, I do have some stuff to do upstairs um, because I we are having the cable guy in tomorrow. So one good thing about that is I'll be able to watch TCM during Halloween, and I do love my TCM. I love my TCM anyway. I miss TCM. If there's anything that I miss right now, it is definitely uh, TCM. So there you go. We have like some great announcements. So don't let the crash versus be the thing that you take out of this. Um, like one, I will say this. I recommend go grab the Arrow 4K a crash. That's what I recommend. If you're 4K, if you're not 4K and you're in North America, get the Criterion edition. Good edition as well. Uh, or if you're region free, I'd still go with the Arrow edition. But with that being said, there are three other amazing films coming out during the month of December. So if you don't get them, put them on your list because there is some great stuff. I tried to keep this stream pretty much like on topic with that. I hope that was okay with you guys. Um, but I do was kind of like limited when it came to time, and I knew that this was something that a lot of people would want to talk about. I am Aaron. This is my movie library. It's a little messy right now. See, messy all over there right now. You are the cult of cinema. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. To my Patreon Crimson Cult supporters out there, thank you so much. There is a new video of the of I Made My Wife Watch that's going to be coming up, and if for those that are like the more serious stuff, we're going to be talking about trances on my Patreon channel as well. Have a great evening. I will see you guys soon. As Kubrick would say, may the cult be with you. And for me right now, after it's time for work, and then hopefully some tea after work. Have a great night.